Woo! How's everybody doing? Well, it's been very busy. First of all, I got to apologize for the delay of bringing you part two of incompatibility of signs between Aries and Taurus. But as you know, in about 3 weeks, I have a reading at Columbia University, right? And then in June is the performance, and I plan to do two performances. And I'm still having a little problem with casting, and it's crunch time. On top of that, I just finished the semester at Columbia, and then on top of that, I had to deal with running another business in my nonprofit and my other organizations. There's a lot going on, and then getting ready to also do another trip back to Boston, because remember, I'm trying to bring the company into Boston, and I got to do a whole launching and a whole event. So, I'm really in there. But my management just let me know that there are many people who are unaware that they can call me for a personal reading. And I was in total shock. I thought people knew. I don't advertise. I like doing videos. I'm an educator at heart. This is not about money. But my management said, you gotta let people know that you're available for readings, private readings. I'm like, well, they can go through my website, or they can just read the descriptions below. I don't got to really say. I think it's tacky. I focus on the videos and the educational content. If you want a reading, you can call me, and I will arrange an appointment to do a personal reading. That's all. I don't gotta advertise. I think it's tacky. I don't like doing it, and my management wants me to do it. They're trying to twist my arm. So I looked through the suggestions that many of you talk and say in the box, and I was shocked that there are many of you who are not aware that you can call me for a personal reading. Yes, you can. 347-485-6258. It's great if you call me like around 12 noon and on, or and on. Yeah, 12 noon and on, because by morning I'm usually taping or sleeping. But absolutely, you are capable. But now I'm going to have to say, because I saw it in the description, in my videos, people don't realize that they can call me for a reading. Yes, you can, okay? Because if I don't tell you, it's not going to matter to me either way. I have a very heavy consultation that people that come to me in person here in New York City. So, it's always a welcome surprise when I get someone from YouTube that calls me that wants a reading. you know, so I welcome him, okay? Today, we are going to go with part two of incompatibility of signs. Okay, we spoke about Aries and Taurus in part one, and we talked about the fact that the full 90-degree square is not apparent with this combination. Aries, Taurus follows right after Aries. That's not a 90-degree square. That's a 45-degree semi-square, which in astrology and in relationship to human personality and behavior is seen as irritation. It's not seen as a direct 90-degree square of an elemental emphasis which would constitute 90 degree. The tension of the 90-degree square begins at the 45-degree semi-square. Okay? Now, many of you want me to describe and discuss the different degrees, 120 degrees, the trine, the quintile, the biquintile, the sextile, the quincunx. This is mathematics. This is sacred geometry. So I am going to do a special video and discuss the importance of the degrees in the signs and in the planets and in the cosmos. Like Mars, 10 degrees, Virgo, at 35 minutes, 10 seconds of arc. That means something. That's important. The average human being is not going to know much about that, and that's certainly not taught in school. But I will teach it to you, and I will do it in a way that it will be fun, less intimidating, because mathematics intimidates people. But this is important for you to learn, because the dial in the heavens is just that, a dial. And there are times and sequences that occur on the universe that reflects down below that constitute a certain emphasis in time. As astrologers, we are also capable of knowing and predicting certain events based on the clock dial of the heavens. You know, that's what makes astrology so valuable, you know, because we can pinpoint into the very detail. Those kinds of readings and chart down can cost thousands of dollars. And you can see that among the elites and the wealthy and the heads of government and state that have astrologers that they pay them thousands of dollars to figure out the exact date and time to do a speech or make an event happen. It is really true. But the average American or human being is not going to afford to pay for that. That's why in the People's Astrology, I try to teach as much as I can to make you educated enough for you to figure it out on your own, so you don't have to pay that kind of money. You know, it's a form of self-empowerment. Okay, part two, incompatibility of signs with Aries and Taurus. Okay, now what can we say about Aries and Taurus? Well, like I mentioned in part one, um, it's a combination that can work, that can sustain itself, and it requires a certain amount of self-understanding and consideration towards the other. The other thing that's important about this combination is that there has to be a certain degree of patience. And if there is a certain amount of value that you have for your partner, you would take the time and energy to figure out a way to make something work. This is especially true when we're dealing with someone that is in his 30s and up. But if we're dealing with young people, this combination can be a firecracker. That's another analogy that I can talk about now in part two. I did the volcano. The volcano. You know, look what's happening in Hawaii. There's an eruption going on. You know, the ring of fire begins in those islands. You know, Mother Nature is waking up. I've talked about that in my Atlantis video, and if you go to medium.com anthropological series / anthropological series, I write a lot about metaphysical stuff that you want me to talk about on YouTube. I actually write about it on medium.com. You should read some of my articles that I have in there. You know, I'm going to publish a series of more articles that can be relevant to the issue. Now, understand now as we go into part two of Aries and Taurus, incompatibility of signs. And like I mentioned in part two, it has to fall under that category because we're dealing with earth and fire. And fire can scorch earth, okay? But earth can stop fire in its tracks after much destruction done, because then there's nothing more to burn. Not true. There are certain shrubs and tree species that are resultant to fire. So fire meets its match when it comes to earth. But still, you have a certain degree of destruction that the fire can cause on the earth. So there's and it's a form of inflammation. You know when you have an inflammation and it's kind of it's tough, and you know it takes a while for it to go away. You gotta take anti-inflammatory or take a lot of bed rest. You know you can feel that burn, that inflammation. You know like pelvic inflammatory disease. Taurus and Earth and Taurus and Aries. Fire and earth is a form of inflammation. It can be an inflammatory process or condition when things don't go the way that they're supposed to. Taurus is not going to change and therefore not improve. And Aries will be too cardinal to settle down and think and reflect and introspect and then take the pause to try to do something better through a different approach. It's too cardinal to do that. So when you have slow Taurus and cardinal Aries together, you're bound to have some friction and some irritation. And this can come across psychologically as irreconcilable differences. And that in itself, as a category, can fall under a diaspora of many meanings. So we're going to jump right in. And we're going to talk about the specificity of the incompatibility of Aries and Taurus, what to do about it, what is compatible, and then how to move to a better space. Okay. You have to understand that this sign is good for, are these signs good for this relationship? Okay, because understand that Aries is ruled by Mars, okay, the planet of passion, but it's also the planet of destruction and the planet of conflict. So Aries by nature is going to bring a certain degree of conflict into the picture, whether you like it or not, even whether Aries likes it or not. It's just the nature of the sign. You all hear me talk about the nature of the sign of Scorpio, right? And how much I dislike the cynicism of Libra. Well, I haven't gone throughout the entire chart wheel. But now that we're here with Aries, I gotta say, with Aries, that arrogance, that thoughtlessness, that sense of follow through, especially when you're young, below 30, can drive the Taurian person who's usually more mature or more methodical, more slow tempered, even tempered, would allow. It will really try someone's like that patience, the fiery, constant movement, tempestuous nature of Aries. Okay? That may be hard for the Taurian man or woman to deal with on the Taurus side. But then if we flip it and we talk about maybe the the Taurus, the Aries man and the Taurus woman, it's worse. The Aries man will leave the Taurus woman in the domestic front, at the home front. The Aries woman, the Taurus woman, is slow to move, to make decisions. This is not to take away from her intellectual capacity. The slowness of Taurus has nothing to do with that. Taurus is quite brilliant mentally. Now, the Taurian slowness that most people associate with the sign has a lot to do with very careful methodology and follow through. Taurus, the aspect of Venus, which rules Libra, is extremely intellectual and very methodical. And they are going to go step by step by step in their analysis and in their evaluations and in their evaluations. And you kind of have to respect that. Remember, the opposite of Taurus is Scorpio. And we all have a lot of Hitler and respect to Scorpio because of its immense power and energy. Understand that the opposite is Taurus. So this is a polarity that they both share. So it's not a question of financial capability. It's not even a question of financial sustainability if these two were to get together. It's not about that. That's not without being said. The situation at hand is if they can reach a point of balance where they can both balance their routines and make it work, make it congruent. That usually becomes the basis of the problems between this combination. It becomes a battle of wills. There has to be a compromise. Now, you would think that Aries, being the cardinal sign, will take lead in that. He will not, if it's a he. If it's an Aries woman, maybe. But it still will not stop her from doing what she wants to do with the impulsiveness and the unpredictedness that brings. Okay? So, you're dealing with a couple that can be very mentally strong and that can either destroy each other because then the platform in which they interrelate becomes a battle of wills, because one has to usurp the other, or it'll be a partnership. I have not seen that in my experience professionally as an astrologer or even as a clinician, that kind of maturity happening below age 30 with this combination. I've always seen this combination be far more successful when they're much older. Those are the louts. Listen, the Aries Taurus compatibility can work. It can work because each one see in the other a certain lack of something. The Aries sees that in Taurus and the Taurus sees that in Aries. They both can connect and commiserate, although that's very unlikely that they will commiserate, but they will work towards a goal that will bring them to a place of empowerment. They both know that they need that for themselves and also for each other in the sustainment of the relationship. I always say that there are three bodies involved. There is you, there is he, and then there's the relationship. He needs nurturing, she needs nurturing, and the relationship as a whole needs nurturing. Men are not going to know how to do that. Come on, let's put the fucking cards on the table. Men are not gonna know how to do that. That's gonna have to come from the woman. The woman has to come and set the moral standard, set the bar high for the men to improve. Remember, the man is not gonna come to the woman ready-made. The woman has to make man out of him. What does it say in the Bible? Man cannot eat of bread alone, so I shall make him the woman. From the left rib I shall make a deep sleep fall unto Adam, and I shall take the left rib and form the woman, and she shall cleave unto him. Now, it could all be bullshit. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how the process occurred. The point is that the man cannot be the man that he wants to be without that woman on his side. And that woman's gonna have to not take his bullshit so seriously and see him for the baby that he is, and then transform him indirectly if he refuses openly to be transformed by a woman. You know, and women have the power to do this because they can open and close their legs, even though that might sound sexist, but there is a truth in that. You know, there's a lot of Roman and Greek literatures written in the Hellenistic period that accents that kind of power, and women have debased themselves from that power because they think that they're being politically correct. No, that's just another way of the corruptors of history to enslave us and not allow us to tap into our own inner masculine and feminine forces that are divinely our own to express. Trust me. And with this combination, those kinds of issues may come up. Taurus is central and it's about sex. So is Aries. Remember, Mars ruled Scorpio before Pluto was discovered. It was the classical co-ruler of Scorpio. But Pluto was discovered in 1930, so it was assigned to Scorpio. But let's not get it twisted. These signs are still very much interrelated. So the power struggle might not happen at the executive office. It could happen in the bedroom as well. Because both signs represent sexuality, human sexuality, and the sexual intercourse that goes with it. Think about it. It's deep. It's deep. Reconciliation could occur with this combination if they are good in the bedroom. I'm not talking about performance, level of performance, good. That's not what I mean. I'm talking about the ability to resolve the situation through the sexual energy, the Kundalini force, the proper use of sexual expression as it is taught in Tantric yoga. You know, that is very possible with this combination. Ooh, God, that was electric. Okay, so understand that there's a lot of spiritual, magical possibilities with this combination. Okay? Marvelous. Fantastic. It's one of my favorite combinations. To be honest with you. To be honest with you. It's one of my favorite combinations. You know? Because it's one that people think that, oh, they're not going to succeed because they're not that type of couple. They're not that, fuck that shit. No, no. Listen, both sides can be bold and beautiful. you know, Aries likes to be the hero. And the Taurus woman, if we're dealing with a Taurus woman and an Aries man, you best believe that the Taurus woman, knowing that she's fully capable of running the show, she'll surrender, like I mentioned in part one, she will surrender it to Mr. Aries. Because he likes to be the hero. Ladies, please. Excuse me. If you want to meet and keep an Aries man, you are going to have to treat him like he's the hero. Look at him with eyes like you couldn't get enough of his dick. Trust me, you will not have anything wrong with Mr. Aries. Just make him the phallic symbol that you can never have after him. That after he's done with you, there'll be no other man capable of. You'll have him eating out of your finger, out of your finger. Come on. He's the baby. It's easy to get Aries to do what you want, but you're going to have to get over the fact that he's so independent. Let him do what he do. He good. He good. Miss Taurus. Now let's flip it. If we're talking about the Taurus man and the Aries woman, the Taurus man, depending on which type we're talking about, but suffice it to say, I think all of them will agree that they would love and they will whet their appetite dealing with the Aries woman. And let me tell you, I've dated Aries woman. It's just a delicious pleasure. Delicious pleasure because you watch them do their own thing, do whatever they want. They're like a little kid, and quite intelligent and sexy. I mean, the combination, I can't talk enough about it. And the Taurus, the man is not going to be disappointed. The problem is that the Taurian man is going to be extremely jealous just because the Aries woman is who she is. And her dynamism, her independence, her sense of independence, and her ability to carry her own weight is going to be sexy to all kinds of men. And the Taurian man might not know how to handle that. And so if there's going to be a problem with this combination, it's going to come from that level. It's going to come from that avenue. Okay? Very important to understand that. Very important to understand that. Okay. Now, Taurus represents the lover and the bon vivant. This relationship marked by a tremendous sense of strength and will, like I mentioned, on both sides. And at all times, it's not like that one laps and the other one doesn't. At all times, all of them are like that. Taurus is very famous for being extreme to being stubborn to the extreme. You know what I'm saying? But so is Aries. So in a way, you don't know who's gonna be in charge of the relationship. Both are capable of being in charge, the man or the woman of either side. That's for real. But the problem becomes that how do you strike a balance? Let me tell you, it's almost an impossibility for a balance to be struck if you're below age 30. You have to be about below or I mean above past age 30 for you to get it right. But let me tell you, if you're dealing with a combination of a couple that's above a certain age, above age 30, let me tell you, this relationship can work. Aries is a moneymaker, and so is Taurus. And both of them together, let me tell you, they will succeed. And that's the end of this combination.